right, now I'm all set up, hopefully. It just took me a really long time. Something happened with YouTube security. Okay, so welcome to Wednesday. What day is it? September 28th. 10 minutes later, getting started here. Okay, so we're just going to go through a nice fluid version of what we've been doing. We've been focusing on just breathing, relating our breath to movement, right? So specifically feeling that you can breathe through. How do you breathe through stretching? How, it sounds really, really simple, but it's a technique, and for anyone that comes from a athletic or dance background or something that's really physically enduring, this is sort of integrated in how you function with your body, probably from a very young age. But not everybody really is aware or feels that. But it's probably one of the most powerful sort of techniques in how to express yourself, whether you're doing it through dance and art or any kind of art form, we'll say, right? Any kind of expressive art form, even acting, whatever it is, speaking. How do you breathe? Use your breath to express through some sort of energetic, relation in your body. So we're just going to come around seated on the floor. Next week, October, is going to be our chair series whole month. So what I'll do is at the end of today, when I organize all of the live stream appointments, I'm going to do it per month. And October, I'll put every single class in October on the list, so anybody can, see it for the whole month. So it's not going to be just week to week. I did that in September. I just didn't announce it. So let's come around and just have a seat, relaxing on the floor, crossing your feet or taking your feet out into a diamond, or letting your feet come out in front of you. You can sit up on something to raise your hips up out off of the seat a little bit. If you're feeling a little bit tight or uncomfortable in your lower back, you definitely want to be a little bit lifted in your seat off the floor. Probably a yoga block is too much though. Try to have something cushiony but dense, like folded up mat or something. And then just really relaxing in your hip sockets here, relaxing in our shoulders. So let's try to really bring a stronger sense of awareness and focus. And of course, I don't want to take away from any sort of personal meditation you might bring into your class today. But this is a good class to kind of like filter, release, finding a sense of just sort of an even keel balance throughout your day. Sometimes things get louder and more frenetic in your head. And then after something like this, it's like, okay, that's not such a big deal. Or it makes sense more now in what I need to do, or, not so stressful. So we're just going to find that nice release here. Now, and what I want to just pay attention to is our breath. So whether you're keeping your eyes open or letting your eyes softly close, start to bring focus to your breath. So you can do that with just sort of relaxing and feeling a nice plumb line from your tail through the crown of your head. We want to try to, sometimes muscular tension takes away from us feeling the awareness of breath in our body, right? So we want to try to minimize that as much as possible. We're going to feel a sense of letting go through the low back, all the way down through the tail, through the back of the ribs, letting the jaw and the chin release a little bit, relaxing in your shoulders. And don't feel that you have to hold anything. You're just trying to find a gravitational balance in the spine that draws through a sense of a centering, a plumb line, without too much effort. So we're just going to let the breath come in and let the breath go out. this is like when you're just relaxing at the end of your day before you fall asleep. So your body's starting to get a nice released feeling. You're starting to make, when you're tired, that's easier. If you're not tired, if you're already well rested, we can incorporate the function of the breath a little bit more even. So we're just letting that release come through. Now I'll give you a few different cues to become a little bit more aware and maybe feel the breath on your body. So this is related, these little cues of sort of using your own hands to touch idiokinesis, which I've studied for a long time with Irene Dowd especially. But we're going to feel the palm, just rest your hand on your chest, just nice and relaxed there. And just try to feel a nice softness. You're just breathing normally, and your hand is an observer. So your hand's going to feel breath, and you're going to feel a change. What are you feeling underneath your palm? So we've got one palm resting on the chest. We're going to take our other hand and rest into the front of the belly, into the pelvis. So now we have one hand resting on our chest, one hand resting on our pelvis and the low abdomen. And we're going to let the breath come through here. Breath comes in. And then exhale. Letting the breath in. And releasing the breath. When I say releasing the breath, that means an exhalation, but an exhalation without force. Letting the breath in. And releasing the breath, exhale. Now, with our palms resting on our body, we create a nice sense of relaxation, a nice sense of soothing, a soothing quality comes through. So you can just know that, it doesn't have to be someone else with their palms on your body. You can use your own hands. So now we're going to remove the hands from the chest and the pelvis. We're going to take our hands into a different place. So if you can use the back side of your palms, we're going to bring our palms up underneath the sides of the ribs here. Now it just feels like you're kind of resting and sort of tucking your hands. If this isn't comfortable for your wrists, you can just be very light and just have maybe the fingertips resting in there. But we want to feel, again, our hands are observing. Our palms are observing the breath. So kind of like a little resting chicken wing here. We're going to let the breath in, and you can again close your eyes if you like. As the breath comes in, feel how there's a sense of expansion naturally through the sides of the ribs. So we're going to let the breath in. Right? So it fills up quite wide. And then we're going to take a nice long exhale, relaxing and releasing the breath. And then just letting the breath in again. And relaxing and letting the breath go. So you start to feel how your body functions. You start to feel that expansion through the sides of the ribs, the lateral expansion as we inhale. So all of those lateral muscles around the sides, everything is actually engaging and contracting as we inhale. And then it sort of deflates on the exhalation. On our exhalation, we feel a nice lengthening quality. It's more of a vertical sense in the body. So as we inhale, that balloon effect through the chest cavity comes through. And then as we exhale, we feel that nice long lengthening. And there's more weight traveling down into the tail. And then we're going to let the breath in, feeling the chest expand. And then we exhale, feeling that length come through. from the crown through the tail. Now imagine you can keep your palms in either one of those places, chest and pelvis, underneath the ribs here, or just resting. So now that you've done the touch, when you rest your palms hanging over your legs or relaxing along your sides, you can imagine that your hands are still there, or you can keep them there. It's whatever feels right for you. So we're going to feel that we're breathing into those points as we inhale. And just finding a nice long released exhale. Letting the breath in, inhale. And exhale. Until you have to let the breath in again, inhale. And exhale. And then just gently opening the eyes. We're going to take the palms together. Now we're just breathing normally and naturally, but we're going to focus our breath a little bit. And as we glide the palms forward and back, creating a nice sense of energy and heat and friction coming up into the surface of the palms, feel that that energy has breath behind it. So the breath is drawing up into the hands. And then we're going to just gently release the palms apart. Feel the energy. We feel that nice buzzing sensation. And we're going to let that buzz expand. So we're going to spread it out into the room around us. Feel that you're breathing through your palms, and let's swirl it around today. So let's use the hands to really swirl and breathe in any direction you feel like you want to go or where your body's leading you to go. Think of this as sort of a morning yawn where you're waking up and you're just gently expanding through the body. It's sort of the most natural feeling in the world, but we want to bring a little bit more awareness into how we feel through all those little crevices where the bottom of the ribs attach, where the spine is in the back here. You can move from the spine in the back of the body a little bit. And then also feeling that breath through the chest, lifting us up. We're going to feel the breath expanding us in every direction possible, up above, down below, around the sides, behind us. So your breathing gives you a sense of fluidity and expansion and movement, but it's supporting you from the inside to the outside. And then we're going to reach out, gathering energy from the space around. Use your hands to gather through the palms, drawing that energy from around your space and just sensing that over the eyes, over the face, breathing into the face and just washing over the face and eyes to release. So we're just bringing that sense of calmness, release, fleshing through. Again, we're using touch. We're using this sense of connection from our touch to release into the body. We're sort of teaching our body through the nervous system. Now let's use our fingertips into the brow bone. So we want to go right along the brow bone from the inside to the outside. We're massaging and carving and following that line with a little bit of a lift upward at the end. So we're going to take a nice exhale, breathing out. Feeling that we're opening and releasing the space above the eyes, finding that sense of calmness that flushes from the center outward without bringing any extra tension back in. Now we're going to take our index fingers, a little bend there. Let's go underneath the eyes on the bone. So we have the orbital bone here underneath. Use your breath, not too hard. You're just massaging and breathing into it. Again, we're being a little bit more aware of touch today and with the breath. So we're breathing out and carving. Relax your face. Try to notice if you want to tense in response to your touch. That's another interesting thing to learn about yourself. So if it's you touching yourself, it shouldn't be as surprising, right? So you're just doing whatever feels comfortable for yourself and using the breath to help your body release and flush through. Now we're going to bring our fingertips into the forehead. We're going to take a nice little scrubbing motion up and down, and we're just moving that surface skin. So we're not pushing in with the fingers. We're just scrubbing up and down, using the breath. We're getting a nice sort of flush and movement. Imagine that you're just sort of ironing out all of the lines in your forehead, bringing that release. And then we're going to gently move around to the outside of the eyes. Very, very light circular motions right on the skin of the temples. We're just feeling them out, letting things move around there a little bit. And then we're going to make our way down. Relax your jaw. Now we're going to use fingertips again in between the upper and lower jaw, right? I mean, it's like super tense usually there, right? Now we can poke a little bit more with our fingertips. The tissue is a little bit more dense and maybe held together there. And so we want to palpate. We want to feel that we can really breathe and massage into that. You are doing this to help your body release and open up and let go. You're basically improving your natural process by using your touch. Try not to feel that you're going to do some sort of exorcism where you completely draw everything out that needs to release. That will never happen. It's a daily process. So we want to feel that we're just helping things release and let go and move around. You can explore, so you can go maybe a little bit more closely to your ears, or maybe it's a little bit more up into your jaw cheek area. We have lots of glands here. We're just breathing into that. Now, we're going to go into the scalp above the ears. It's kind of like we're washing our hair. Again, very surfacey, and we're scrubbing in an upward motion, lifting towards the crown. Now go around the ears, breathing in that upward motion, making your way around the backs of the ears, but with a sense of lifting and lifting up out of the top of the spine, right? So where the top of the spine and the head meet, that nice, occipital area and our cervical spine can get very sort of congested and stressful. Driving, computers, any kind of stress usually goes right back there into the neck and the shoulders. So we're going to start by, and there's a little crevice. If you take your hands and just gently move your head up and down, there's a crease at the bottom of your head. And we want to massage into that a little bit, a lateral side to side motion. So imagine with your fingers, you're breathing through the fingers, and you're just feeling that you open and release the compression in that crease area with your hands. We're going to move outwards a little bit towards the ears. So we feel a sense of lifting and opening through the ears. And then we're going to come back in close to the spine. And when we get close to the spine, we're going to work down the back of the neck. This is where we take a nice circular motion with our fingers. But these muscles, the erectors, run from the top all the way down through the tail of the spine. We want to massage them and relax them as much as we can. So breathe into it. Try to use your breath to relax these muscles, and you can gently move around. Try not to hold your body, but let your body feel a little bit supple so that you can help yourself out in letting that go. We're working our way down the back of the neck, breathing into it. And then once we've gotten to the bottom of the neck, we reach the top of the shoulders. So that's the next part here. And once we've gotten into the tops of the shoulders, we're now going to take our fingertips again, and we're digging over the tops of the shoulders, over the tops of the traps. We're going to exhale, and we're massaging and peeling and sweeping over the top with a nice little sweep off and let go. Shake it out and release any tension and tightness off your hands. And then we're going to go back again, taking a nice exhale to release and sweep it off. One more time, going back. Using the breath, you can take a different angle here and releasing and sweeping it off. Now we're going to start to use the breath internally through the body to start engaging in and up to give us a sense of elongation. So at the base of the spine, everything at the bottom of the spine and the pelvis, right? Think of it kind of like a nice cradle here. We're going to let the breath lift from the tail in and up. We're going to interlace the fingers. The breath internally lifts us up, and that gives us a really nice, long, tall posture. Now, it's going to be different for everybody. Don't push this. Use it as a tool to decompress through each little vertebrae. So the breath helps you gather through that to lift up. And then we're going to let that breath wiggle us up out of the hips. We just do a little side to side release. We get a little bit more freedom from that tail, from the sits bones, and then just letting the ribs sway a little bit here. So try again not to feel that you want to feel engaged a little bit inside your body and try to feel externally a little bit less engaged, right? So we're going to come back through center, breathe and yawn, relax the arms. We'll keep the fingers interlaced, but just let the tail relax and let the arms drape down. So when the arms drape down and the shoulders relax, you can do a nice little sway here, a little cradle. When we sway side to side, it's not just the elbows moving, it's our shoulder blades. We want to feel that the shoulder blades move around the back of the ribs. We're going to sweep the arms around and poke your elbow up. We're making a little window. We're going to lift the elbow up, and now I can breathe through the side ribs. I'm going to breathe through the side ribs to lift my body up. It's like a nice Ferris wheel. We go over the top, exhale through the other side. Now, if we sweep our tail under, that just brings our head and arms down and around. So the control comes from the tail end of the spine. We're going to inhale, find your long tail to inhale up. Exhale over. Now breathe. It's your tail that brings the arms forward, around, and down. To come up, to make it easier, reach your tail long as your elbow lifts. You have to make space for the bones to move through. Exhale over. Now your tail softens just a little bit to bring your arms forward and around. And again, find your tail reaching long. That elongates through the side, through the elbow up. We're going to just take a little pause up here. Let the breath in. Now we're going to change our direction, hanging over the other way. Now it's the tail that softens to bring our arms and head down and around. We're going to sweep around. Now find your long tail to breathe through the elbow, ribs, and up. And exhale over. So you'll find when your chest lifts up and when you have some space there, the breath comes in easier. There's more space to breathe through. Long tail, making that window up. And exhale over. Softening the tail to let the arms drape down and around. Find that long tail reaching through the floor to breathe your elbow up. You're making that window. Now breathing through the spine. The midline is our spine, the center line of our body. You can imagine that it has a color. So you're making that more vibrant from the inside to stretch up, breathing through that. It's like a peeling away from inside to outside. We're going to separate the fingers, and now just breathe through that nice bright midline as you circle through the palms, through the fingers. And you're just sort of breathing your tentacles, your fingertips open. As your arms float, your arms can float down because your spine is floating upwards, right? There's a contrast. And then at the end, just let your arms hang off the spine. And then soften your tail to let go out of that. Now from here, we're going to bring our feet out in front. And let's, just give a little shake out here at first, relaxing through the backs of the knees. And we're just going to take a nice yawning, where we breathe. Let's flex the right foot, bend the left, let it hang off to the side. And let's go right away. The opposite hand goes behind the tail. We're going to, again, feel that nice breathy midline. The midline lifts you up to breathe over the tail. And we just let this arm hang from your shoulder blade, hanging open to breathe underneath this armpit and release. And let the chest go, and we'll bring that arm down. So now we're going to change to the other side. The breath brings you up. So the breath lifts us up. And then we're able, as we're extended, we're able to find that release through the joints because they're not compressed. We're not pushing weight into them. We can let them breathe open, release, and change. So it's like you're yawning through the joints. Inhale, the breath brings you up. You feel a nice opening in the chest as your arm hangs, and release and change. One more time, feel the breath bring you up. Opening and hanging, feel that openness in your chest, and release. Now we're going to take both hands up, and we're going to circle the wrists and the ankles. So breathing through them, letting those tentacles again breathe open and expand. Let's make our way down to the floor as we're breathing through this, all these little distal points. And then eventually relax your arms on the floor. Relax from the head. So you're just going to let your head go and see where you go and just breathe and relax and hang. There's a tiny little feeling of a scoop through the belly here, right? But it's not like a contraction. It's just to give space to lift you out of your low back a little bit. So as you're hanging over and letting the head feel heavy, you're practicing releasing the weight of the head. We're going to release the weight of the head. And as you let the head go, take a little exhale out through your nose. So it doesn't have to be big. It's very sort of internal and, it doesn't have, no one has to hear it. We're just going to breathe out and hang. Breathe out and let go. So we're coordinating the breath with our movement. We're dropping the head and exhaling through the nose. Dropping. And of course, if this doesn't feel comfortable, don't do it. So anything that feels uncomfortable, you can just watch, or you can just, hear it and just hang there. Whatever feels right for you, let your body learn instead of pushing yourself into something that doesn't feel right. And then we're going to just hang and relax and breathe. Now, sometimes when you first let your head go, it feels good. But then you realize you're still holding on to your head and you breathe into it, and your head go even more. So really let the weight of your head go. Let your jaw and your chin relax. Now from here, use the weight of the head to start to sway from side to side. It's like a pendulum. Breathing, you're using your breath to help release through the swaying, finding that shifting. We're feeling that the back of the ribs start to sort of unstick from the back of the body, from the waist. So we're going to just feel, again, that soft, kind of supple feeling. We start to feel shifting. We're peeling up and dropping down. Peeling off and dropping down. Now we're going to use that little tiny scoop in the low belly to initiate movement. That little scoop in the belly lifts one hip up to walk us backwards. That little scoop lifts the other hip up to go back. So you're alternating, like you walk with your feet, you're walking backwards through your hips and dragging the legs. So we want to feel that the legs release from the low back and the hips. The sacrum area is starting to get a little bit of movement here, side to side. And we have all that cartilage in between the bones, so we're releasing through that as well. And now we're going to come forward. We lift one hip up and drop it down. Now there's a little bit of a different feeling with our sits bones. They're like feet where we push off the floor to propel the other one over. Use the downward push to lift your other hip over. Try not to pull your hip up instead. We want to feel that there's a nice released quality and it's easy through the joints and through the bones. We're using the bones to guide our movement, right? And then we're just going to come around and hang and relax, releasing through the crown of the head. Now we're going to start to find our tail energy. The tail, now you have a really big fat dinosaur tail. Your dinosaur tail is going to draw down through the floor. And as that long, heavy tail draws long, the breath comes in and up through the front of the body. But even as you get almost to the top, that density in your tail stays long and heavy. And especially as you get all the way up, if you bring even more heaviness and density through that tail, you'll just float your chest and your shoulders and your head up more easily. And then, so we're going to find that, and then we're going to let it go. We're going to slouch again. So we're going to come around and just soften the tail under. Now there's a little bit of that scoop in the low back. We're going to use our fists. We want a little tiny scoop so that we can feel everything pushing out in the back. We're going to drum on our sacrum, breathing into the sacrum, feeling a nice sense. Again, there's all that cartilage there. We have cartilage in between the bones. It moves and it shifts because it needs to help our body move. We're going to breathe into that and just go all around, right into the sacrum, especially the creases and the edges. Go into your glutes. Huge support mechanisms back there, right? And we want them to feel nice and open and released, especially externally, so that things can wake up inside. Now we're going to go up the sides of the spine, breathe into this one. So your breath, especially as you get towards your ribs, if you can, towards your kidneys, and back down again. Now we're going to use our fists and we're just going to drop back into the sides of the hips. So not right on the sides of the legs, where your glutes and your hip sockets are. So the greater trochanters, where our hip joint moves in and out on the side. So we want to kind of drop into that, bouncing the palms, breathing into it, releasing that external tension, but also waking it up on the inside. Now we're going to alternate. So we're going to go from the back and around. So now it's more of a circular, flushing, releasing motion. There's a downward effort that comes from the palm, sending any tension or tightness down the leg, out through the toes, and released out of your body. So we're working with the direction of our circulation on that. Now we're going to come around the sides of the legs. Loosen the hands. We're using the heels of the hands here. And we're going to fluff up around the sides of the legs. This is where our IT band lines are. We're really relaxing the muscles here. So get a nice scooping, releasing. We're tenderizing. We're shaking it around here, releasing any sort of holding on into the connective tissue. We want to get a nice sense of release there to let things start to wake up and work a little bit more efficiently. We want to let go of anything that's holding on that could potentially cause a roadblock. And we would just want to free up the lines here going down the sides of the legs. And then once we get down almost to the knees, we're not quite on the knees, although if you go on your knees, it's fine on this. We're going to take our fists again, breathe through the palms and just pat. Imagine all this congestion and tightness. You're breathing through your hands, releasing into your legs. We're just going to move around because your legs are round. Follow the lines of your legs. And of course, if anything feels uncomfortable, you're not going to go there. We're just going to go very, very light and feel it out. And from here, we're going to use our fingertips to just lightly tap right on the kneecap, right on the bone. So we feel a nice vibration into the bone that penetrates into the joint. And we're feeling that energy wake up inside the bones, right? So the vibration is what our nervous system responds to. And that's what makes all the fluids wake up. And we're going to travel down the shin bones. waking up, tap, tap, tapping, and feeling the shin bones. Sometimes this might be a little bit tender because they're really close to the surface. And we're going to go all the way down to the ankles, breathing into that. You can also notice maybe one side you feel it more than the other. That's normal. We all have a dominant side, and maybe we're evening it out a little bit more neurologically. When we do this, we're going to tap back up the shins again. So these things are a great way to assess yourself, right? You don't always need someone else to tell you what your body's doing. So if you learn about your own body, we're massaging down our quads here. So we're just going to feel, again, heels of the hands, we're flushing from the hips down to the knees. Now you can use a lot more pressure. So we get a really nice breath and release. It's like we're really ironing out along the femur bones. And again, a little bit on the inside and a little bit on the outside, just following the natural shape of the leg. And then let's lean back a little bit. So in the creases of your hips, if you hinge a little bit back, you'll feel them get harder, which is your hip flexors engaging. So if our hip flexors engage, we're going to just drop our hands down into the slightly engaged hip flexors to help release that attachment zone a little bit more. And then relax and follow that with another flush all the way down towards your knees. So we want everything to just kind of open up and release and, be nice and fresh. And now we're going to come down, again, floppy hands. We're going to sweep in that circular motion along the outside of the shins here. So there's sort of a nice little dropping impact. We're breathing through, releasing the peroneals. They do not get much attention. They take a lot of force. And we're just kind of freeing things up here. They give a lot of stability between your ankles and your knees. And they work really hard and they kind of need attention sometimes, hopefully. And now we're going to come around and take both knees out to the side. So just relax your knees wherever you feel comfortable, whether your feet are a little bit further away or a little bit closer in. We're not trying to stretch here. We're going to use the tops of the hands. Now we're going on the inside of the legs, the adductor line, and we're taking this downward flushing motion, the insides of the hips in this inner thigh area. We want to find a nice sense of releasing and again, not holding on. We're letting, this is where we get a lot of lymph flushing through, our arteries, all that stuff, the femoral artery up there. We want to just kind of release and let things move around. We're going to flush down the inner thighs towards the knees with this effort of releasing in the direction of gravity towards the floor. And then we're going to flex through our heels. Flexing our heels a little bit engages the calves a tad. And we're going to take our fists. Let's start small today. And we're just kind of dropping our fists down into the calves. When I say drop into the calves, it's from the side point, right? So right from the point where it's the most easily accessible. We're not trying to just hit the back of the calves, although that feels good too. But if you go from this inside point of the leg, it gives a different direction of a shake than you're normally get. It gives a lateral release. So usually we do calf stretches. We just stand up and put our heel down and, place the leg back behind you. Maybe bend your knee a little bit. But this is a different way to release your calves. And, they get tight. They feel sore quite a lot of the time for most people if you're out and about. We're going to come down below your calves into your soleus and Achilles tendon here. Now we can, it's a little bit of a more difficult area to get. And then we're going to take our hands back behind on the floor, relaxing, let your legs come out, and just take a nice little shake out on the floor, breathing through the backs of the knees. Give a nice little wiggle in your tail to release your shoulders. Make sure you're not holding too much tension there. Now we're going to release in through the center. Let's take the right knee up. We're going to inhale. We're going to start an exhale, then let the leg go. And then other knee comes up, inhale. And start your exhale. And again, inhale and exhale. So I'm not exhaling so I'm not exhaling and shooting my leg out, right? Breath brings me up. I'm going to gather through the exhale. Almost at the end of your exhale, let the leg go. And again. So you don't pull against the stability in your pelvis. Your pelvis is stabilized a bit more with your breath starting. So now we're going to relax the legs and just go a little in and out, little taps on the inside of the toes. So go gently. If this is a little bit tender for you, we're just kind of rolling. Relax in your hip sockets. This is a really nice release in turning in the hips, rotating in the hip sockets. And then we're going to bring the feet back in, and we're just going to roll through the ankles, rolling little ankle circles here, rolling around. And we're going to relax our feet on the floor. Now we're massaging right underneath the ankle bone, using your fingertips to massage underneath and the inside of your heels. So you're breathing and massaging and kind of digging around in there. We have lots of little tendons in here, and they kind of get stuck, and we want to release them and open them up. And then we're going to continue into the soles of our feet. Use your thumbs. And now we're really mushing around into the arches, breathing a nice circular motion here, and just getting a nice flush through there, releasing up. Go from your heel towards the balls of your feet, which is, or we call it the ball of the foot, but every single toe has a little ball, so it's plural, balls of the feet. Now we're going underneath into that zone, underneath the metatarsals here. And now we're going to take our hands under the balls of the feet and spread the toes wide. Now spread your toes apart so that there's space in between them, like little froggy feet. And we're just going to relax the feet and just take a little moment and breathe into that. So you're breathing into some space between your toes. They're probably smushed up most of the day and you don't even realize it. And then we're going to gently remove the hands. Let that space be there, and then take your hands around the back and into the back of your body. We're going to bend the knees, lifting up. Now we're going to do our walks. We want to feel very connected into that center midline of the body. So feel that you're gathering from underneath your seat. You're gathering into the center. We're going to walk with our heels, balls of the feet. We're going to stretch our toes really wide. Use your toes to pick your heels up. You're going to pick the sand up. It slides out of your toes. You open and exhale, rolling through. And again, grab the sand, and then we're going to flick it away. And you dig your heels into the sand to walk. So moss or sand is probably the best image here, because we feel like that the foot penetrates and goes through a surface. And then we're going to reverse it. You start with your toes over, feel the soles of your feet melt and expand into the floor. The toes go up and over, and we melt, we drag the heels back, and again up and over, and melt and drag back. Let's go forward one more time, feeling that we're sending the connection from our tail all the way down through the toes. So we're going to exhale from the center, out through the toes, and walk. And exhale, melting your arches into the floor, and walk. And then here, one more time, and walk. And then just relax and give a nice little shake out again. We're going to bring our feet back in, and you can either cross or take your diamond shape, whatever feels better. We're going to lift the chest up. Now we're going to take a nice massage. We want to inhale just naturally. Feel the breath come in as you take these big flushing circles. So this is called the happy hamster, and we're not changing the name. We're just going to feel the breath come in And release. Probably only people who have ever had a hamster really know this, but I feel like hamsters really do this. And breath comes in. And release. We're flushing all throughout the abdomen. We're going to come down into the front of the hips, a little massage into the lymph we have here, moving things around. And then we're going to come up right into the center of the chest, a nice little scrubbing up and down, letting your breath release, letting any tension go. And then we'll sweep. We're going to sweep down through the center, nice and light. And then we're going to sweep around underneath the ribs on one side, breathing into that space. Under that bottom rib on the side, we want to feel a nice little sense of breath and release there. A little bit of opening space there. That's where our psoas top attachment comes through, especially when we bend to the side. We can open the top of the psoas. We're going to come back through the center, relax the shoulders, relax the head. Over to one side, use your opposite hand. Now we're massaging into the front of the shoulder and just kind of move around, mush around, breathe into it. You can let your head move, whatever feels comfortable here. But untangling from your neck into your shoulder feels good usually. And then relaxing over to the other side and just breathing into that, moving the head around. And then coming back through center, we're going to relax the tail under, soft in the tail. We want to feel the breath lift us up again. So we're going to inhale, but as we inhale, we're not starting with the arms. We're starting from here. We want to really feel how that lift comes from inside the body. So we're going to inhale, the breath comes in to lift us up. And when we exhale, we throw the arms down and out. Feel that lift remain. So we feel the tallness remain. Now soften the tail. We're going to gather from the breath again. And exhale, release. One more time. Breath comes in. And releasing. Now we're going to just shake it all out. The shoulders, the elbows, the wrists. Again, we're shaking it off the bone, especially through the elbows and the lower arms here. So especially our forearms, our wrists, our fingertips, getting a nice kind of fuzzy feeling all the way down here. Letting your breath release means an exhale. So we're going to let the breath go. And then from here, we're going to interlace the fingers and just kind of squeeze and let go, moving the heels of your hands around a little bit here, breathing into that space between your fingers, relaxing, and then just gliding the wrists around. Try to notice if your shoulders want to tense up or your neck. Relax the shoulders and just feel the breath let go and let that we're just massaging and opening through emotion, right? So we're just letting this motion gently come through. Now we're going to reverse it, of course, because we want that same release to be just as easy in the opposite direction. And of course, your nervous system chooses the direction that's most comfortable, but you're going to even it out by doing the opposite as well and try to find that same release and momentum. And then from here, we're going to separate the hands and just breathe, inhale, open, exhale, close, feeling compression and release through the palms. Now we're going to let the breath in, inhale. We're going to take a nice long squeezing exhale. Until you don't have any more breath left. Now let the breath in again. We're just going to go with this today and not think too much about it. We're going to exhale. We're squeezing out anything we need to release. So you're making space for new. Squeeze through your fingertips, toes, your eyes. You're compressing, breathing out, breathing out, breathing out, breathing out, breathing out. Till you don't have any more breath in there. Let the breath in. And again, exhale. Letting the breath in. And on this last one, we're going to exhale, but we're gathering light new energy through the fingertips and toes. We're drawing that new light energy into the center of the body using our breath, enveloping it right through internally. And just releasing the arms up and letting anything go that needs to let go. Good. So usually I go on, but I had a lot of technical problems and I have another appointment. So I don't have any more time to do more today. And I'm sorry that I had a slow start. But there was some security situation that I didn't know was going to happen. But sometimes it's nice to just do like a simple, okay, I'm on the floor, I'm going to release, and that's all I'm doing because I have other things to do. And so that's what this class became today. So anyway, thank you very much. So October, next week, we're going to start a full chair series. If you have a stool or a chair, any kind of bench will be really good for that series. And if anyone, I'm going to still take everything we've been working on with the breathing and connecting through the body and bringing that into how we do it sitting on a chair or a stool. So I hope everyone has a great day. And, if you're in Florida, I hope that you stay safe. And same time, same place next week, Wednesdays, 12 o'clock Eastern time. Please let me know if you have any questions. And thank you very much. All right, bye. I'll turn this one off first.